Fitzroy is all about art, so if you're really into photography, street art, music and culture, this is your go-to place. Right now I'm walking on the main street in Fitzroy, Brunswick Street, a major artistic centre of Melbourne. And if you take Brunswick Street all the way to the north, you'll end up in the suburb Brunswick, which we'll cover in the next episode.
Fitzroy used to be a suburb for the working class, but you can easily tell it has undergone much gentrification. It's now clearly a cultural hub, which is affirmed by its status as home of the Melbourne Fringe Festival. This is an annual festival that takes place in Melbourne around October. The festival showcases a wide variety of art from theatre, music, cabaret, performance art. It's pretty much the cultural event of Melbourne.
You may have noticed it's not very busy on the streets right now. Reason is it's Sunday, and also this video was recorded close to Christmas, so many people aren't actually on holidays. In reality, Fitzroy is the most densely populated area of Melbourne. It's the smallest suburb outside the CBD at 100 hectares, but sports a population of about 10,000 people. It's almost like a little Netherlands in Melbourne.
Fitzroy is not only the most densely populated suburb of Melbourne, it is also the oldest. Before European colonization, the area now known as Fitzroy and Collingwood belonged to the Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. They named the area Ngargo, meaning high ground. After Europeans settled here, the area became known as Newtown. This settlement was divided in 1839 when Fitzroy became the first suburb of Melbourne. Not much later in 1842, the remainder of Newtown was renamed to Collingwood.
I'm walking on Smith Street right now, which separates Fitzroy in the west and Collingwood in the east. In general though, the street is only assigned to Collingwood. Now Smith Street is one of Melbourne's major centres for nightlife, which I can say from experience, and it was even named the coolest street in the world in 2022.
So Fitzroy was named after Sir Charles Augustus Fitzroy, first governor of New South Wales. It is thought that Collingwood is named after Vice Admiral Cuthbert Collingwood, but this is debated. While Collingwood is quite similar to Fitzroy in terms of character, showing glimpses of its cultural side all around, I feel like Collingwood was more successful at resisting gentrification. Beyond Smith Street, Collingwood is loaded with suburban neighbourhoods which really give off a working class vibe, where the artsy hipsters of Fitzroy really wouldn't feel at home.
Of course, since this is Julz Down Under, we need to talk sports. So Collingwood is not only known for clubbing, they also have a football team that's generally doing pretty well in the AFL, the Collingwood Magpies. So this is Victoria Park, historically the base of the Magpies. But nowadays, they play their home games at the MCG.
It's Christmas Eve and it's the first time I'm spending it in another country. And not just that, it's also the first time I'm experiencing it in the southern hemisphere. Meaning, it's gonna be a hot Christmas. Or is it? I explored Melbourne on Christmas Eve to get a grasp of how Christmas is experienced in Australia. I found out pretty soon, it kind of isn't. I have honestly never had so little Christmas feeling around Christmas, ever in my life. I guess that's what happens when the seasons are flipped. Though, this did kind of make up for it.
What's up abovers? It's the first day of Christmas, so you know what that means. I'm headed out to the beach, because of course, what else do you do on Christmas?
It's such a strange realization that I'm in a part of the world where Christmas coincides with summer. My mind really can't grasp that it's 32 degrees out on the first day of Christmas. Anyway, many Australians go on vacation over the summer break, which includes the Christmas period. One thing that you can do as an expat when everyone is on holidays is reach out to other expats and have Barbies on the beach in true Aussie fashion. We went to St Kilda, which you saw in the last episode, and we chilled out at the beach there. The party was on at the beach. Many people from different cultures were all celebrating Christmas together. Really cool to see. And fun to be part of. The one thing that would have completed the party was a Barbie. But there was one problem. There was no public barbecue. Very un-Aussie. So when dusk fell, we continued the party at one of the guys' homes. So he was looking after some Aussies' place, and of course, it had a Barbie. The second day of Christmas is called Boxing Day in Australia. I caught up with a mate that I met at the King Gizzard concert, which you saw last episode. His name is Saul, and he's from Canada. We took the Frankston line from Flinders Street Station all the way to its end in Frankston, in the southeast of Melbourne. From there, we took the bus to Mornington. When you look at a map of Melbourne, you can see that the bay is closed off in the east by a peninsula. This is called the Mornington Peninsula. It's a very popular retreat for coastal holidays. We walk down from the suburb Mornington to Mount Martha, where we can find the Pillars, a rock formation that's a well-known cliff jumping hotspot. But it's also so much more than that. The waters I've seen up until now were mainly limited to Port Phillip Bay, close to the city. So St Kilda Beach, Altona. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, the waters around Melbourne are terrible. But this is a whole other level. It's like Greece or something. Just gorgeous. Back to cliff jumping. I consider myself a daredevil, but this guy Saul? Even I call this guy ballsy. This lad's a crazy trickster. Look at this drop, bro. Compare that to my floppy chicken jump right here. Anyway, in the afternoon we walked up to Mount Martha Beach. Also, highly recommend. The water is still and shallow, but somehow crystal clear. Perfect for a family-friendly day out or a casual day at the beach. At the end of the day, we returned to the Pillars, saw some possums on the way there, and watched one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen in my life. No matter what's still in store for my journey, this has to be one of the highlights. The day before New Year's Eve, I went to the Mornington Peninsula again with two Dutch friends that I met on Facebook. This time we went a bit further than the Pillars, to Portsea. Portsea is found on the tip of the Mornington Peninsula. It's a seaside town with an old naval fortress, which was turned into a national park. Point Nepean National Park. After driving from Melbourne to Portsea, we walked from the car park to Point Nepean, the ultimate tip of the Mornington Peninsula.
It's a beautiful place, all right. There's so many flies. I'm just waving this branchlet around to just chase them off. It's crazy.
Right here, I finally got a grasp of real wave action. The national park sits at a high elevation, so you'll have an amazing view of the ocean. And that's the thing. I think this is the first time I actually see the ocean from Australia. Finally, some actual waves. Unbelievable, considering it's been 4 months already, and I defo haven't been sitting around during that time. Turn the other way from the ocean, and you'll be looking bayside, into Port Phillip. But not the filthy St Kilda Port Phillip. This is Mount Martha quality at minimum. We took the, let's say, more adventurous route to reach Point Nepean. And here we are, at the ultimate tip of the peninsula. West Victoria is right there. Just cross and say hello to Geelong. So close, yet so far. After having our lunch, we explored the forts around the park a bit. They are relics from both World War I and II, having served as an important defense post for potential threats. I'm glad that in this time we can peacefully enjoy the beauty of the surroundings from this former military post. After this, we decided to get closer to the ocean and head to Portsea Beach. There's a rock formation here called London Bridge. Very fascinating to see. I climbed it as far as was safe, but these waves are really intimidating when they're so close. We strolled along the shore, and for the first time in Australia, I finally saw surfers. No surprise, since I saw the ocean for the first time today. And let me tell you, it won't be the last. Next day was New Year's Eve. I went to the Falls Festival with my roommate Jeremy and his friends. This festival is normally held in Lorne, to the southwest of Melbourne. I guess this year is special because it's the first time after the pandemic. Lucky me, because the festival is now biking distance for me. It was held at the Sydney Myers Music Bowl in Melbourne, next to the Royal Botanic Gardens. From the main stage, you have an amazing view of the Melbourne skyline. The main stage was occupied by several performing bands, and would be the stage for the main act of the evening at 11 PM. In the meantime, we also visited the techno stage, where the many DJs kept the party going all the way until after dark. The main act of the evening was none other than the Arctic Monkeys. To be honest, it wasn't that special to me. First off, this isn't the first time I've seen Arctic Monkeys. They headlined Rockwerchter Festival in 2018, where I went crazy on them. But I remember them headlining many festivals in Europe between then and now. On the other hand, my taste in music has changed a lot in 4.5 years, so I'm not that impressed anymore. But I guess that didn't go for most Australians, since it's probably quite rare to have Arctic Monkeys perform all the way over here. Either way, I did like the fact that Arctic Monkeys was performing and ushering us into the new year in Australia. 1 minute before midnight, they left the stage and the countdown started.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It went on for a whopping 8 minutes until it was quiet again. And come to think of it, there wasn't any fireworks during the whole day until midnight. You certainly wouldn't find that in Holland. I remember always seeing New Year's being celebrated earlier in Australia on the news, the times I celebrated it back home. It's crazy to think that I was now part of it, celebrating the New Year's on a hot summer day, 10 hours before most of my friends and family did. Happy New Year's, upper buffers. I've been working long days the weeks after New Year's because I was running behind a bit on my research, and I had already planned to take leave for a week. I don't respond well to working inside the office when the weather's nice, so to keep productive, I worked out before my lunch breaks. Get some good sun in, you know? Plenty of sun in early January, by the way. I'm still doing the 90-degree holds for extra strength, even though I can't hold a full one yet. And while I also can't perform a straddle planche, I can do a 90-degree straddle hold. And funnily enough, it doesn't only train the shoulders. I also did another thing. I joined the tricking dark side. Sitting around in the office so much made me crave for more cardio type exercises. I've always wanted to take up parkour or tricking when I was younger. Well, the best time to start is 20 years ago. The second best time to start is now. I practiced one of the basic flips I've always wanted to master, the aerial. It's basically a cartwheel without hands. This is a butterfly kick, and to turn it into an aerial, the legs have to go higher and the torso lower. Easier said than done. It's the fear that really holds you back. So I just need to practice, and practice, and practice, and fall, but get up again. Thanks for watching this video again. Your Australian words for the day are togs and thongs. Trust me, they're not what you think they are. These words are both related to one another. So togs are swimming outfits, right? Could be these swimming pants, could be bathing suits, anything really. So next time you head out to the ocean, don't forget to bring your togs.
Don't forget to bring a towel.
And if you decide to go to the beach anyway, you might also do good to bring some thongs. The guys watching right now are probably looking really confused. But no, this applies to you as well. Because in Australia, thongs is another word for flip-flops. And you know it can get pretty hot around December and January in Australia. So, best make sure you don't walk on the beach with your bare feet. So, next time you go to the beach, don't forget to bring your togs and your thongs.
Subscribe, guys, and also consider following me on my socials and visiting my website or my SoundCloud. And also, stay tuned because there's more coming up, and trust me, the next one is going to be sick. Thanks again for watching. See you later.